Hey everyone, welcome back to First Principles EV. A lot of people have asked me the same question. Why did you go with the Model Y standard instead of the premium all-wheel drive model? And even online, if you go to any videos and Reddit threads discussing the Model Y rear-wheel drive, you'll often see comments saying that Tesla has stripped out too much and how buyers should just skip this trim and spend the extra money to upgrade to the higher trim. But in today's video, I'm going to talk about some reasons why the Model Y Standard is actually the trim to get for most buyers, especially here in the Canadian market. The first category I want to focus on is financials. Let's start with the financial reasons because this is the strongest argument for the Standard in Canada. The price between the models may not be that big of a difference in other markets, but in Canada, that isn't the case, and it isn't something that you can just say spend the extra money. When people say just buy the higher trim, it doesn't really take into account people's personal financial situations. An extra 5 to 10K may not be a lot to some people, but to others, it really impacts their bottom line and how much monthly payments they can comfortably afford. And that's where the Model Y Standard fits in. To those buyers who are in the market for a new car, want a spacious EV, access to the latest technology like FSD, and are trying to be somewhat responsible with their money, this is the model for them. It opens the door to people who require a bigger car than just the Model 3, but want to enter the Tesla ecosystem and wouldn't be able to do so without this lower entry trim. So let's get the numbers straight. As of right now in Canada, the Model Y rear-wheel drive starts at $49,990, and after the federal EVAP rebate, it comes down to $44,990. On the other hand, the Model Y Premium starts at $64,990, and it doesn't qualify for the $5,000 federal rebate. So the real gap after incentives is closer to $20,000. That's a big difference. A lower purchase price also means a smaller loan if financing, lower interest costs, and noticeably lower monthly payments. Let's see how this looks with real numbers. So if I go on the Tesla configurator, let's input a 72-month finance term with 10K down at current interest rates, and we can see here that the Model Y rear-wheel drive comes out to around $604 a month, while the Model Y Premium comes out to $925 per month. More than a $300 difference, and this isn't something to just brush over. The next financial reason for why the Model Y Standard may be the better choice is lower insurance costs. In most cases, especially Ontario, a cheaper car means lower insurance premiums. Over the life of the vehicle, that adds up. The rear-wheel drive trim is significantly cheaper to insure than the all-wheel drive models due to the slower acceleration, a notably slower 0 to 100 times, and a much lower purchase price. There are some people that care for a fast car, but for the majority of people, this isn't something on the top of their car buying checklist. The rear-wheel drive is still an EV and still has great instant torque to get you out of sticky situations, merge quickly, and react fast to road conditions. And for me, that's the most I would need speed for. Although it would be a nice to have, I personally don't need a fast car because at the end of the day, we can't take advantage of it legally on Canadian roads. There's no Autobahn here, although some people may treat the 401 like it. The last financial reason I want to bring up is lower overall ownership costs. Both the Standard and Premium will save you ownership costs compared to an ICE vehicle, but the rear-wheel drive Standard takes this even further. Tesla always says no part is the best part, and because the Model Y Standard is missing some features compared to the premium trims, logically there are a less amount of things that can break or go wrong. In addition to this, you're putting less capital at risk. If the used market softens or you decide to sell earlier than expected, you're not as exposed to the same amount of depreciation that a higher priced vehicle like the premium Model Y may face. Moving on from financial reasons, the next category I want to highlight is battery and technical advantages. The Model Y standards built in Berlin that are being sold in the Canadian market come with the lithium iron phosphate battery, or LFP battery. The main advantage of an LFP battery is the ability to charge to 100% daily without putting strain on the battery cells. Tesla actually recommends to charge it to 100% frequently meaning you'll be able to use the full rated capacity of the battery more often. Compared to the premium Wise NMC battery, the recommendation is to usually stay around 80% charging for daily use. Although the premium has longer range than the standard, I think the fact that you don't have to worry about battery percentages and charge limits is a much more enjoyable experience as an EV owner. Another advantage that the LFP battery has is generally a longer cycle life, where the cells can handle more charge cycles over their lifetime than NMC packs. For someone who plans to keep the car for many years, that's a genuine advantage. And the last reason regarding the battery is a more stable chemistry. LFP is said to be more thermally stable and doesn't rely on cobalt or nickel in the same way. It's a simpler, more robust chemistry for everyday ownership. Moving on to the next category, practical reasons why the Model Y rear-wheel drive is the better choice. The first being plenty of range for most people. The rear-wheel drive has 463 kilometers of EPA range, and I think this is more than enough for the vast majority of Canadian drivers. Daily commuting plus weekend trips are easily covered for most people, and any long trips can easily be covered by the supercharger network, as we've seen plenty of cross-country road trips both here in Canada and across the United States, the most notable one being a full cross-Canada drive using only full self-driving completed by Devin Olsen and David Moss. I'm not sure how much of the EPA range you can actually expect in real-world use, but when I take delivery of mine, I'll be sure to make a video to show you guys exactly how much range you would get. I'm especially eager to see the effect that the Canadian cold has on range for the standard model with the LFP battery. LFP batteries do lose a bit more range in extreme cold compared to NMC batteries, but if you precondition properly and run good winter tires, the standard rear-wheel drive should still be very usable in most parts of Canada. I think the only times you should be concerned is during extreme cold temperatures like negative 30 degrees and below, where you'll just have to be on top of your charging and making sure you have enough charge to precondition the battery. The last practical reason for the Model Y standard is the fact that you are actually getting pretty much the same core Tesla experience. You still get the same software, the same supercharger network, and the same autopilot or full self-driving capability. You're not getting a stripped-down Tesla experience, you're just getting a different battery and drivetrain configuration with some bells and whistles removed. And this is totally expected with the cheaper purchase price, but Tesla did not hide any of the software features behind a paywall. The last category I want to speak on is aesthetics and looks. Personally, I actually like the look of the rear-wheel drive front end versus the premium version, which has a light bar. I feel like a bunch of cars now are adopting the light bar, so the rear-wheel drive is much cleaner and simpler and is quite refreshing to see. But on the other hand, I actually do prefer the rear end of the Model Y Premium compared to the standard, as it does have that indirect light bar, and I think it gives it a much more futuristic look, whereas the standard is pretty plain. This is obviously subjective, but I think it's worth mentioning. Another area that I actually prefer in the standard version over the premium is the center console storage area. The open space is a welcome addition, or you could say removal, and makes the cabin feel larger. In the majority of cars on the road today, this is usually wasted space that causes you to hoard stuff that you don't actually need. But now, this space gives drivers a great storage area for things like their backpacks, umbrellas, and pretty much anything you need to quickly grab and take with you. And sticking with the interior, I also do not mind the textile seats. They look great as they are blended with vegan leather accents, and in my opinion, they will likely be more durable than the full vegan leather seats. The only thing that the standard is really missing from a seats perspective are the ventilated seats. I think it's important to note that because of the fact that the standard's purchase price is much lower, it also gives owners some flexibility on customizations. For me personally, because I'm not buying the premium model, I have a little more leeway in budget for upgrades I want to complete. Some notable ones include window tinting, taillight tinting, interior upgrades like light strips, A nice set of floor mats, trunk mats, and even tech upgrades with third-party products that integrate with your Tesla and give you more control on things you wouldn't have otherwise. I'd like to think of the Model Y rear-wheel drive as a blank slate, and there's definitely room for plenty of personalization. Look, the premium all-wheel drive is an excellent car. If you regularly do long highway trips, live anywhere with heavy snow, or just want the extra performance and range, it makes total sense. But for a lot of Canadian buyers, the Model Y Standard gives you most of the experience at a significantly better price, and that's why I went with the Standard. Let me know what you would choose, the Standard or the Premium. Drop it in the comments. I'm curious what matters most to you. And if you're about to order, feel free to use my referral link in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.